Winter is a season that evokes thoughts of wonder and beauty, yet it can also be perilous. The cold temperatures, treacherous conditions, and unpredictable weather can make certain places especially dangerous during the winter months. While some travelers thrive in these harsh environments, others may be unaware of the hidden dangers that lurk within these landscapes. From icy tundras and snow-covered peaks to remote wildernesses, these 10 places stand out as some of the most hazardous destinations to visit in the winter. Whether you are a thrill seeker or simply curious, understanding the risks involved in winter travel to these locations is essential for staying safe. Subscribe for more adventures. 1. Alaska. Alaska is one of the most captivating destinations in the world, known for its sweeping vistas, towering mountains, and pristine wilderness. However, the winter months bring extreme cold and unpredictable weather, which can make traveling through the state particularly dangerous. The weather can vary dramatically depending on the region, but temperatures in the interior and northern parts of the state can drop below -40 degrees Fahrenheit or -40 degrees Celsius. In addition to the cold, the region's remote and rugged terrain presents multiple risks for travelers. Extreme cold Alaska's frigid temperatures can lead to rapid onset of hypothermia, frostbite, and other cold-related injuries. The risk is amplified for those venturing into the wilderness without proper preparation or gear. Avalanches. Alaska's mountainous terrain, combined with heavy snowfall, increases the risk of avalanches, particularly in areas popular for skiing and mountaineering. Isolation. Many parts of Alaska are remote and not easily accessible, meaning that rescue operations can take time, especially in the event of an emergency. There are vast stretches of wilderness with few resources, making it easy to become stranded. Wildlife. While most animals are in hibernation, the risk of encountering wildlife such as bears or wolves increases, especially for those hiking or camping in remote areas. Ensure you are dressed in multiple layers, using high-quality winter clothing designed for extreme cold, including insulated boots and gloves. When venturing into the wilderness, take a guide or travel with someone familiar with the terrain, especially if you're unaccustomed to extreme conditions. Carry a satellite phone or emergency communication device, as cell service is unreliable in remote areas. Plan your routes carefully and always inform someone of your itinerary in case something goes wrong. Alaska's history is shaped by its harsh climate. Indigenous groups such as the Inupiat and Yupik people have lived in Alaska for thousands of years, adapting to the extreme cold with sophisticated tools and survival techniques. Even during the gold rush in the late 19th century, many adventurers found themselves ill-equipped to handle the severe winters, with many succumbing to the cold and isolation. 2. Mount Everest. Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, has long attracted climbers from across the globe. Standing at 29,032 feet, or 8,849 meters, the mountain poses tremendous challenges year-round, but these challenges are amplified in the winter months. The extreme altitude, severe weather, and technical difficulties make Mount Everest a perilous destination, especially during the winter season when conditions are most unforgiving. Extreme cold temperatures on Everest can plunge to -40 degrees Fahrenheit or -40 degrees Celsius or lower, which can quickly lead to frostbite and hypothermia if travelers are not adequately prepared. Altitude sickness. At such high altitudes, the oxygen levels are much lower, increasing the risk of altitude sickness. Symptoms include dizziness, nausea, fatigue, and shortness of breath. Without proper acclimatization, this can lead to more severe complications. Avalanches. The snow and ice on Everest make the mountain prone to avalanches, which pose a constant risk for climbers, especially in the winter when the conditions are most volatile. Severe weather. Weather on Mount Everest can change rapidly. Sudden storms, high winds, and freezing temperatures can strike unexpectedly, leaving climbers stranded or disoriented. Mount Everest is not a destination for inexperienced climbers. If you are determined to ascend, ensure you have extensive mountaineering experience and that your team is well prepared. Travel with a guide or join a guided expedition to benefit from the expertise and support of professionals. Monitor your oxygen levels carefully and make sure to acclimatize to the altitude gradually to reduce the risk of altitude sickness. Avoid attempting the summit during the harshest winter months, December to February, unless you are an expert climber, as weather conditions become especially treacherous. Mount Everest has long been a symbol of human perseverance and ambition. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the first to successfully summit Everest in 1953, but since then, the mountain has claimed many lives. While advancements in gear and technology have improved safety, Everest remains one of the most dangerous climbs in the world. 3. Iceland. Iceland, known for its dramatic volcanic landscapes, glaciers, and geothermal hot springs, draws thousands of visitors annually. While the country's beauty is undeniable, winter conditions here are nothing short of extreme. With long, dark nights, unpredictable storms, and icy roads, Iceland is not for the faint of heart during the colder months. Icy roads. The country's roads are often covered in ice and snow during the winter, especially in rural areas. Driving can be hazardous for those unfamiliar with winter driving techniques, and accidents are common. Blizzards and storms. Iceland is notorious for sudden and severe weather changes. Blizzards can drastically reduce visibility, making travel dangerous and potentially life-threatening. Volcanic eruptions. While eruptions are not common, Iceland is a hot spot for volcanic activity. During winter, an eruption or the resulting ash cloud can cause widespread disruption, including grounded flights and difficulty accessing certain areas. Renting a 4x4 vehicle is advisable if you plan on traveling outside of Reykjavik, as it provides better control on icy roads. Always check weather reports and road conditions before setting out on your journey. If a storm is imminent, postpone your plans. Have a detailed itinerary and keep someone informed of your travel schedule, especially if you are venturing to more remote locations. Bring a portable charger and a GPS, as visibility in snowstorms can be very poor and getting lost is a real risk. Iceland's people have learned to live in harmony with the land, adapting to its geothermal features and volcanic eruptions over centuries. The first settlers arrived in Iceland in the 9th century, and their descendants have lived through many volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. The ability to survive these harsh conditions has become an essential part of the national identity. The Canadian Arctic is an area of vast, untamed beauty that draws adventurers seeking remote experiences. The landscape is dominated by glaciers, ice caps, and tundra, and during the winter months, it becomes even more inhospitable. With freezing temperatures and minimal daylight, the Canadian Arctic presents a formidable challenge to travelers. Extreme cold. The temperatures in the Canadian Arctic can reach as low as -50 degrees Fahrenheit or -46 degrees Celsius in some areas, making frostbite and hypothermia serious risks for anyone traveling without proper gear. Isolation. Much of the Arctic is inaccessible by road or rail, and even in the more populated regions, help may be hours away if something goes wrong. Frozen terrain. The region's landscape is often covered in ice and snow, which can make navigation treacherous. In some areas, ice roads are the only way to travel, and these can be unstable or poorly maintained. Never travel alone in the Canadian Arctic, and always have a guide with local knowledge. Dress in layers and ensure that your clothing is windproof, waterproof, and insulated. Keep a communication device, such as a satellite phone, with you at all times. Be prepared for long travel times, and ensure you have ample supplies of food, water, and emergency equipment. The Canadian Arctic has been inhabited for thousands of years by indigenous peoples, such as the Inuit, who have developed specialized survival skills to thrive in the harsh conditions. The region has also been the focus of many polar expeditions, including the tragic Franklin expedition of 1845, where a group of British explorers perished in the Arctic's unforgiving cold. The Lofoten Islands in Norway are known for their stunning landscapes, dramatic peaks, and picturesque fishing villages. The winter months, however, bring heavy snowfall, high winds, and icy roads, which make the islands a dangerous destination for travelers. The weather is unpredictable, and many areas are prone to avalanches during the winter. Avalanches. The steep mountains and heavy snowfall create conditions ripe for avalanches, which pose a risk for hikers, skiers, and mountaineers. Extreme weather winter storms with gusty winds and freezing rain can make outdoor activities dangerous and limit visibility, leading to the possibility of becoming lost or stranded. Icy roads. Many roads, especially in more remote areas, are unpaved and often coated with ice, increasing the risk of car accidents. Check avalanche forecasts and be aware of conditions before venturing into mountainous regions. Avoid traveling during severe weather conditions and stay informed through local weather reports. Wear sturdy boots with good traction and carry gear to help you stay warm in case of an emergency. The Lofoten Islands have been a center of the fishing industry for centuries, with their rich history dating back to the Viking Age. The extreme weather has shaped the way people live on the islands, with many of the villages built to withstand the harshest conditions. Greenland, the largest island in the world, offers dramatic landscapes dominated by glaciers, icebergs, and vast tundra. The winter months in Greenland can be intensely cold, with temperatures frequently dropping below -50 degrees Fahrenheit or -46 degrees Celsius. Travelers to Greenland must be well prepared for its isolation and extreme winter conditions. Extreme cold. The freezing temperatures can cause frostbite and hypothermia in a matter of minutes if not properly dressed. Frozen terrain. The frozen landscape can make navigation challenging. Snowstorms and blizzards can also leave travelers stranded or disoriented. Isolation. Greenland is sparsely populated and its remote communities are not always easy to reach, even by air. In case of an emergency, help could be hours away. Always travel with a guide or local expert who understands the terrain and weather patterns. Dress in multiple layers and invest in high-quality gear that is designed to withstand extreme cold. Carry emergency supplies including food, water, and a first aid kit, and make sure to inform someone of your whereabouts. Greenland has been home to the Inuit people for thousands of years, who have adapted to the extreme cold with unique techniques for hunting, building shelters, and surviving. European explorers, including the famous Vikings, attempted to colonize Greenland, but the harsh environment made it difficult to sustain long-term settlement. Number 7. The Alps, spanning France, Switzerland, and Italy. The Alps are one of the most popular mountain ranges for winter sports enthusiasts, but they are also one of the most dangerous in the world during the winter months. With high-altitude terrain, unpredictable storms, and frequent avalanches, the Alps present significant risks for anyone attempting to climb or ski during the colder months. Avalanches. The heavy snowfalls in the Alps make the region highly susceptible to avalanches, which can bury skiers and hikers. Altitude sickness. The high altitude of the Alps means that climbers and skiers are at risk of altitude sickness, which can lead to dizziness, headaches, and, in severe cases, life-threatening complications. Severe weather. Sudden snowstorms, freezing winds, and rapid changes in weather make conditions unpredictable and can catch travelers off guard. Safety tips. Before skiing or climbing, take avalanche safety courses and carry avalanche beacons and airbags. Monitor weather conditions and avoid venturing into high-altitude regions during storms or extreme cold. If you're not experienced in high-altitude trekking or skiing, always hire a guide. 8. Antarctica. Overview. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and windiest continent on Earth. The winter months are particularly harsh, with temperatures reaching as low as -60 degrees Fahrenheit or -51 degrees Celsius. Traveling to Antarctica requires expert preparation, as the conditions are some of the most extreme in the world. Dangers: extreme cold. Antarctica's frigid temperatures make it difficult to survive without proper clothing and shelter. Even the slightest exposure to the elements can lead to frostbite and hypothermia. Isolation. Antarctica is extremely remote, with no permanent human settlements except for research stations. In case of an emergency, help can be days away, depending on where you are on the continent. Severe weather, blizzards, whiteouts, and strong winds can disrupt travel, making navigation incredibly difficult. Safety tips. Only travel to Antarctica with an authorized tour operator who has experience dealing with the region's extreme conditions. Ensure your clothing and equipment are designed for extreme cold and wind. Make sure you have a clear understanding of emergency protocols, as evacuations are often complicated by the harsh weather. Historical context. Antarctica has been the focus of numerous scientific expeditions, including the famous journeys led by explorers like Ernest Shackleton. These early expeditions were fraught with danger, as the explorers battled the brutal conditions to study the region's wildlife and climate. Today, scientific research continues in Antarctica, with strict regulations in place to protect its unique environment. 9. Himalayas, encompassing India, Nepal, and Bhutan. Overview. The Himalayas are home to some of the tallest peaks in the world, including Mount Everest. The region is a mecca for trekkers, mountaineers, and adventurers, but it also presents significant risks, particularly in the winter months when temperatures drop and snowstorms are common. Dangers: altitude sickness. The high-altitude environment can cause altitude sickness, even in experienced climbers. This can lead to nausea, dizziness, and difficulty breathing. Avalanches. The heavy snowfall in the Himalayas increases the risk of avalanches, especially in areas popular for trekking and skiing. Harsh conditions. Cold temperatures, blizzards, and icy terrain can make trekking difficult and dangerous. Safety tips. Acclimatize slowly to prevent altitude sickness. Carry avalanche safety equipment if trekking or skiing in high-risk areas. Always travel with an experienced guide, especially if you're attempting to summit high peaks. 10. The Sahara Desert. Overview. While deserts are typically associated with heat, the Sahara Desert, the largest desert in the world, experiences drastic temperature drops in the winter months. Travelers often underestimate the dangers of the Sahara during the winter, when cold nights and sudden sandstorms make survival difficult. Dangers: temperature extremes. During the day, temperatures can reach over 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius, but at night they can plummet to freezing. Dehydration. Even in winter, the dry desert air and long distances between oases can lead to dehydration. Sandstorms. The Sahara is prone to sudden sandstorms, which can reduce visibility and disorient travelers. Safety tips. Always carry plenty of water and supplies. Travel with a guide familiar with the desert terrain. Monitor the weather, and avoid traveling during periods of high sandstorm activity. Each of these places presents unique challenges and dangers in the winter. Understanding the specific risks involved, properly preparing, and respecting the power of nature can help ensure a safe and rewarding experience, whether you're an adventurer, a researcher, or a thrill seeker. However, always remember that some of these regions are better left to the experts. Be sure to seek local advice and plan carefully before embarking on any winter journey. Subscribe for more adventures. Happy travels!